So next transformation is union transformation. Okay. So in the union transformation, so it is like union all set operator in Oracle. Okay. So why union set operators are that we are going to use it in Oracle?
To get data from two tables or from the same table to add.
To get the data from multiple tables with same structure.
Same structure, yeah, data type and structure.
Yes, with the same structure. If at all we have to get the data from multiple tables with the same structure, then we are going to use union or union on set operator. Okay, similarly, we do also have an option of combining multiple flows. Okay, so we can use union transformation to combine multiple sources and get into a single output, single target. Okay, so let's say, let me create so 60 data. Department ID equal to 60. Okay, and let me create one more with 90 and 60. Okay, I have created two tables now. Okay, one table is employee trans 60, where it is having only department ID is 60. Where department ID is 60. And I've created one more 90 60, which is having is having 90 and 60 data. So this union transformation is going to work only when if both the sources should have the same structure, and it is going to act as union all operator. So we cannot use as union operator. We have to use it as union all operator. Like by default, it is going to work as union all. Okay. Now, so what are the sources that we have? Employee 60 is employee trans 60 is one table. And 60 is one table. And we have the respective fields. And we have one more source. What is the other source? Hence 90, 60 is another table. So these are the two tables that I'm going to use it as source. Okay. And we can keep, as per the naming standards, we have to keep the transformation name. SRC underscore. And this is SRC underscore 60. Okay. Now we have two sources are of a different database. See, if let us assume that these are in a different databases. If these sources are in a same database with the same schema, we can directly do union in our source query itself. We don't need to use additional transformation. Okay. So when we are going to use any transformation, we should be careful about using additional transformations. Okay. So how these sources are there? Are they of the same database, or are they from a different database? If they are from same database and the same schema, then we can use source query instead of a union transformation. If they are two different sources altogether, or if they are from two different databases, we cannot use single connection to get the data from those two tables. Then we can go with the union transformation. Now we have union here. So in the union, where by default two input groups will be coming up. If at all we wanted, we can create a number of output groups, sorry, input groups. So union is going to take the value from multiple inputs and it is going to give one output. Okay, union is going to give the data from multiple inputs and it's going to give into a single output. Now union also will be having this field rule. So every transformation will be having these field rules where, so from input 1, how many fields that we will have to include or exclude. Input 2, how many fields that we will have to include and exclude. Okay. And then we should go to field mapping. So here we will be having a field mapping. So in the field mapping, we have to map. So by default, so these are the output fields which is created. Okay. But we need to connect them, which field should connect to, which source field should map to, which this union field. This is for input 1. And for input 2 also, we have to map. Okay. So in the union transformation, what we should remember is how many number of groups that we wanted. And then we have to go to the field mapping and we have to map for every input from source, which source field should map to which output field of union. Then the respective values will be going out of this union transformation, then to the target. In the target, so this is, since it is already exists connected, it is already there. If it is not, we have to connect to the right field with the right source field with the right target field. Now save it. Now run it. Certain records loaded because with employee 60 there are five records. So and employee 6090 there are 8 records. 5 plus 8, 13 records. Now let me go to the table. If you see here, right? So from one source, all the department ID 60 records are loaded. From the other source also, all the department ID 60 records loaded. Okay, because that's why we are going to tell it as union transformation is going to act as union all set operator. Okay, but if business says that, so the data is coming from both the sources, but in the target I wanted only the unique data, then what we should do? So we have to eliminate the duplicate data and then we have to use it, we have to load it to the target, right? So how do we make union transformation as union set operator? We don't have direct option to do that, but yes, we can add a sorter in between. After the union, we can add a sorter. Add a sorter, and then in the sorter advanced, we have an option of distinct. We can enable the distinct option so that even though union is going to give duplicate data, the sorter with enabled distinct option, it is going to delete the duplicate data and load the actual data. is invalid. So this is the sorting condition. So when we are going to use sorter transformation, so we have to specify the condition, either ascending or descending order. But actually in Informatica Power Center, this option we don't need to give any option here. But in IACS we have to give the option. So now the mapping is saved successfully. Now the mapping is valid. Now let me run it. Yeah, if you see here, 5 records came from 60 source, 8 records came from 9060 source. So 8 plus 5, 13 records came from source, but in the target it loaded with only 8 records because we have introduced a sorter in between this union and the target. So the sorter with the distinct option is eliminated the duplicate data. See, with the 60 records, there are only one set of data. The other set of data did not come because the sorter transformation eliminated the duplicate data. So when we are going to use union transformation, if at all we feel that so there are some duplicate data coming from source. So then if we wanted to eliminate, we have to use sorter with distinct option. Any questions in union? See, it's not like only for two sources that we can use. We can use a number of output groups, but for every group, we should give the field mapping. So in the dropdown, we have to select how many input groups that we have. For every input group, we have to give the right field mapping.
But all the groups should be in the same structure, right?
Yes, exactly. All the groups should have the same structure. Okay, if at all any group, let's say, all the columns are same. Oh, sorry. From source 1, we have 10 columns. From source 2, we have 11 columns. Okay, when we have 10 or 11 columns, okay, but whatever the 10 columns that we have, all the 10 columns are having same structure, but one column is missing. So now what we should do is we have to create one dummy column in the expression. We have to take one expression and we have to create a dummy field there. And then we have to add the dummy field. In the dummy field, we just pass null, null. Okay, so that the target will be having, the union will accept all the columns.
And Bhaskar, is there any other option that from the input field we can give 5 columns, and input 2 we can give another 5 column? We can use like the way, or hello?
Input 1.
So for example, input 1, we are giving first 5 columns, okay, for 60 trans underscore 60. For input 2, we are getting another 5 columns. Is that will work from this process?
Ideally, it is not the right approach actually.
Okay.
Okay, ideally it is not a right approach. So when we are going to use union transformation, then we should definitely follow certain rules. So same structure, same number of columns. So this set of rules that we should definitely follow. So because that kind of requirement won't at all come, because from one input 5 column, the other input 5 more different 5 columns, like that kind of requirement won't come up.
Okay. Okay, Bhaskar. So, can you give me one more example for me? Like you gave us one example, right? So, the source column has 11 column and the source one has a 10 column. In between, we need to add an expression. Can you give us one example for that?
Example in the sense, see, let's say here all we are getting 10 columns, sorry, 11 columns, right? Let us assume that from input 1, let me have an expression here. So in the expression, let me not exclude, let me delete one field from source. Okay, let's say this job ID field, I'm deleting it from source. So from this source, I'm getting only 10 columns. From this, I'm getting 11 columns. Right?
Yes.
Now
yes.
what is missing? Job ID is missing. Like when we compare both the structures, like we identified that this job ID is missing. Then what we should do? We should go to expression. If we go to expression, we have to add a new port. _, job ID. Okay, keep it. Okay, and configure it as just pass null value here. End user. Okay. Now, if you go to from input 1, okay, if you go to field mapping, this job ID is not available now. So for input 1, from input 1, this job ID is not coming. So for that, we should add this dummy field so that all the 11 fields will be connected.
Okay. Okay. Fine.
Okay. So all the 11 fields will be, so like that, we have to create some dummy fields and we will have to pass the values. So sometimes in the from the dummy field, we don't need to pass null. Business might explicitly tell that. So you just, instead of passing null, just pass some default value like -999 or 0, 1, like that. If business explicitly says that, pass the default value for this column, then we have to pass that default value. If not, we can just create a dummy column and we can just pass null with that. So
Okay.
this, as per the requirement, see, in this mapping, we have used 3 transformations: expression, union, sorter. Okay. So why we have used 3 transformations? For each requirement, so what exact transformation is going to work for that, we are using it. So to create additional ports, we are going to use expression. Like to club the multiple sources, we have used union. And to eliminate the duplicate data which is coming from source, we have used sorter transformation. So like that, as per the requirements, we will have to use the respective transformations. Okay, any questions here?
Bhaskar, you can also use the exclude columns also, right? Because if one column they have only 10, only that 10 columns should be shown.
Yes,
in other table
that
it has.
also we can do. That is also another option. So in the union transformation, when the incoming fields are coming up, let's say I don't have this expression also. So that is purely depends upon the business requirement. If business says that I don't want to populate that column at all, okay, if business says that I don't want to populate that column at all, but from source we are getting that field. So then what we should do is, in the input 2, okay, so in the input 2, just exclude that particular field, job ID. Okay, now we have only 10 inputs. Here are the 10 outputs. Now if you go to field, if you see the output fields, okay, so we just need to delete it because in the existing we had it, so we will just delete this. so that if you go to the field mapping, we won't be having that Java depender. This is also one more option, but that is purely depends upon the business requirement. So we have to carefully see the requirement document. So what they have mentioned, accordingly we'll have to develop. It's not like, so sometimes what developers will think like, okay, so this column is not coming, so why I have to populate this column from the other source? Okay, let me delete. So if at all if somebody is going to come, then we'll see. Like that, usually people will think. So, but we should not do that because that will go as a very big escalation. Question here.
No, Bhaskar, good. Thank you.